Buenos dias. Bonjour. Konnichiwa. That's all I know. Good morning. Good morning. It's great to be back here. For those of you who don't know us, we're Caesar and Jennifer, and we work for Adventures in Missions. It's a missionary organization that sends people all over the world in short-term trips. We'll talk a lot about that. We've been with Adventures in Missions since 1998. In 2000, we moved here. Some years after that, we became members here at First Christian, and we worked here until about 2015, which is almost, this next month will be 2 years. We moved to Gainesville, Georgia, which is a little bit an hour north of Atlanta. We got a home. We live about 8 minutes away from our office, and we have a lot to tell you this morning, so we're excited to be back here in our home church.
Next. As our church family, we know that you want to know a lot about our ministry, but we also know that you care deeply about our specific family. So, you know, as family goes, I know you need all the news. So, one of parts of our big family news is that Katie was married last month. She married Phil Vineyard, and so that's very exciting. He's a Christian guy, comes from a good Christian family, so it's been neat to get to know him, and we're excited for them. So that's Katie's update. Hannah's update is that she is still in school. She's in school to be a teacher. She's going to be elementary ed and focusing on special ed. So she's getting her degree, and she's also dating somebody she's pretty serious with. So, yeah. So that's more on that later. So.
All right. Okay. Next, please. All right. So Adventures in Missions is basically a short-term mission organization. There's a lot of ministries that go more than a week, like 3 months, 6 months, and all the way up to 11 months at a time. So we don't have time to talk about all of them, but basically when we go on these trips, these are the things that we do. We meet the needs of the poor. We help girls get out of sex trafficking in the Philippines. We do work with orphanages. We disciple the actual people, the racers that go on the world race for 11 months. We also disciple those who get saved. And we're now starting to work with our partners that plant churches to plant new churches. Next. Okay, so basically we do short-term mission trips. So myself personally, I work with youth, high school students, with men's trips, and sometimes family trips. So those are 7-day trips. We also now have a new ministry called Church to Church. So let's say, for example, our church, First Christian Church, you guys all want to go to Cuba, okay? So we're going to get on a plane, and we're going to go to Cuba, and we're going to work with several pastors. We're going to work with Pastor Carlos. We're going to work at his church. And you guys just fall in love with Pastor Carlos and with his church, and you want to go next year. And you want to help him during the year, and you want to call him, and you want to send him supplies. That's what Church to Church is. It's going deeper in a relationship with the church in another country that we work with. Next, please. Okay, so the biggest ministry that we have is the World Race. It started about 10 years ago. It launched out of Matamoros at our base, and it was 2 groups that bought some automobiles and were headed down to Guatemala. And it started as a race and then doing ministry in 11 different countries. So it still is a ministry called the World Race, 11 countries, but it's no longer a race. We didn't do that anymore. So basically it's somebody from the age of 21 to 35. They raise their support and they go to 11 countries for 11 months. So every month, they have to use a new translator with a new language. They have to eat new foods. They live in a new culture, and they live in community, and they do ministry with the partners that we have. We have over 1,000 ministry partners in over 66 countries, and so that's what the World Race is.
Okay, so another thing that we have is we have long-term bases. And these are the locations where we have more of a significant ministry, and we have people there specifically to reach out to that community that are our people that also welcome the world races they come through. So they have a couple of different things, and their ministry is different in every country. So each country has different needs, different felt needs, and so we try to pay attention to what's going on so that we can respond to those directly. So currently we have bases in Swaziland, the Philippines, Guatemala, Cambodia, Nicaragua, and India. And we have a new base that's going to be starting up in Thailand within this next year. We're working on getting that ready. Yeah, so that's long-term basis. Next. All right. So last year I was able to go visit one of our bases in Guatemala. And the purpose there was to work alongside our people that have been there for about 3 or 4 years, and work with them, help them with support raising and training and all other things that they need. Just to also spend time living on them. It's hard to be in another country, and so it was great to be there to just care for them, and that was a great joy. In Guatemala, their specific ministry is they do water filtration systems, they do stoves that are better created so that there's not so much smoke. They give those away. They do ministry outreach, and one of their big things also is that they are training Guatemalans to go out. So there are several churches that they're working with to make that happen. In addition, they are just now starting to do church planting as well. So next. All right, so the other reason that I was in Guatemala was to be a part of a parent vision trip. So after the World Racers have been through about 9 countries, more or less, their parents join them. So if you can imagine, you're 21 to 35, you're all that in a bag of chips, and your parents are coming. So, but it is the most amazing thing because they've been doing ministry for 9 months, and they've seen a lot. And they've done a lot, and they've grown, and their skills and their maturity has really changed. So as a parent, watching them do ministry and participating with that, it's huge. I don't even have words. It's a really big deal for those things for that 1 week to come together. And so some of the ministries that we did during this specific trip is we went to orphanages, we went to the hospital, we went to the neighborhoods, and we were able to share with them there. So that was Guatemala. And next. All right, so I also have the opportunity to work with teams before they go out. So we have 2 teams. There's one that's in India, one in Swaziland. And the one in India, they are partnering with a church called Indian Christian Ministries, and they've already planted 7,000 churches in India. And so we come with a lot of energy. We've got all the millennials. You want millennials? We've got millennials. So we are able to really help them with this ministry, and they're very excited and poised to plant these churches here, and then the plan is to take this same ministry plan into multiple other countries. So that's the next big push. For Swaziland, their big focus is on the widows and the orphans. So in Swaziland, it was really wiped out. The parent generation was wiped out, and so you have grandmothers raising their grandkids without the means to do it. So one of the things that we're doing is helping the grandmothers have money to pay for food and shelter by making bags. So these are the bags that are outside for you guys to purchase. So they do that, and then we also work for the orphans. We're feeding, I think it's 6,000 to 7,000 kids a day. And these women help to feed them, and then the kids are cared for in that way, and also through things like sports evangelism. So that's India and Swaziland, and right now I'm working with a family that's going to Greece, and then we have a team going to Thailand. There's about 10 of them that hopefully they will launch sometime next year.
All right, great. Next. Before I talk about this next slide, I just wanted to say where we work, it's several buildings, offices, where there's 100 to 150 staff. And almost all of these people have been on the world race, so their average age is somewhere between 25 and 30, okay? So I wish I could take all of you guys on a 1-week vacation, just leave your jobs and come with us and live in that community. It is just so amazing. It's just full of life, and it's just, you just have to be there. That's great. So, Puerto Rico. So I was born in Kansas. At the age of 5, my mom and dad took us to Puerto Rico, and I grew up in Puerto Rico. So last summer I was able to go back, and I took a group from Littleton, Colorado. There's a picture of them in the middle. And they went down there to help a ministry called Uni Challenge. Uni Challenge is a race put together by Camp Caribe. And what they do is they take churches from all over the island, and they take kids that are in university, usually between 20 and 30 years old, and they do a race. And it's an obstacle race where there's mud pits, there's big giant tires, there's ropes, there's walls, there's a small river they have to cross over a rope, and there's the ocean. So what we did is we came and we set up all these things. We set up the walls, we built the obstacle courses, and then on that Saturday, hundreds of people were there for that event. It was very, very exciting. Not only that, we also were able to go into Ponce, one of the cities in the south of Puerto Rico, and we went to a homeless shelter. So this homeless shelter was really, really great because they take in people, they feed them breakfast, they feed them lunch, and they also have doctors there, counselors, to try to help people get back on their feet. So during lunch, we were able to use our translators and sit down and talk to some of them and find out what some of their addictions were and how why did you become homeless? And they would tell us. And then we were able to share Jesus and give them some hope in Christ. Next. Haiti. Okay, how many of you have been to Haiti with Mike Williams? Anybody here? How many of you know somebody that has been to Haiti? All right, great. Hannah went, yes. So last year there was a hurricane called Hurricane Matthew that went through the south of Cuba and Haiti. The hurricane went right over the west part, it's a west peninsula of Haiti, and it devastated a lot of crops, a lot of animals, and so we were planned to go there before the hurricane came, and fortunately the hurricane passed and our time came, so we went there, and it was just incredible. It's a third world country. So we took 7 men from a large church in Marietta, Georgia, and the purpose of the trip was to do relief, disaster relief, but also to do discipleship, because we had young men and older men. We had, the youngest guy was 24 years old, the oldest guy was 74 years old. So it was sort of a discipleship in Haiti for these men. And we did about 5 or 6 things. One is we helped a man rebuild part of his house. His house was affected by the earthquake in 2010, and it still had some cracks, and the roof was leaking now because of the hurricane, so we helped him build one of his walls. We also were able to go to a brand new Christian school that had started in that poor community, and there were 200 kids there. They were in uniform, they were clean, and it's a Christian school that we were able to see. We also went to a small orphanage. We played soccer with them. We had a chance to go east, it was a little bit west, about an hour west, and help a church and give bags of rice and beans to about 50 families. And then we were also able to do a feeding ministry for about 100 kids. Next. And finally, Cuba. So last year I was able to go to Cuba 1 week before Fidel Castro died. So as you know, Fidel Castro took over Cuba more or less in 1957, 58. So when I got there, I had heard that it's like going back into time. And it really is, because there you see all these old Ford, old Chevrolets, 57, 58, 59. And it's true. So one of the things that I learned about the government there is that their television and their news is very limited. They don't get the news that we get. The other thing is not a lot of people have access to the internet. The other thing is the salaries are very low. If you are a worker in a factory or something, you might make $25 a month. If you're a doctor, a professional, you might make $45 a month. So it's really incredible. The other thing is that most of the citizens in Cuba have a little notebook, and that's how they go to a place where they get their food, and they get their rice and their beans and their meat, and they get a ration for a month. When that is over, that's it. That's all you get for a month. So, and finally, the last thing is that in Cuba, you cannot build a church. You can't actually build a building. So they have church in homes, just like in Acts. So we went to Pastor Carlos's church, and we did ministry. At night, we went to one of their Bible studies that they have at night in another house. And we also went to several houses in the community and prayed for the sick, and we prayed for those who didn't know Jesus.
Okay. Like we mentioned before, Adventures is working more on church planning in other countries, and we're also doing that here in the United States. So one of the places that we're doing that is, of course, in the city that we live in, Gainesville, Georgia. So one of the ways to do that is to meet a felt need of a group of people. And we have a large Hispanic community very close to our house. And so Caesar and I have been teaching ESL there. English is a second language, and it's just a great way to bridge into the lives of these people. Next. All right, so, and then just as a reminder, we do have the bags outside that are from the bags that these ladies have made, and 100% of all of this goes back into that specific ministry. It's not for us. You're not giving us a bunch of money. It's just a great opportunity to be here, and then I get to go home and go here, and they're all very excited. So anyway, so that's that.
Okay, a few more things. I wanted to say hi to Pastor Mark and Darla. If you see this video, thank you for letting us be here. I want to say three things. I want to say thank you, and thank you for all the help and prayers and support, because you are our sending church, and we want to thank you for that. We will have sign-up sheets in the back if you want to get our newsletter, and we have the stuff from Timbali, and we just want to thank you for this time.